Welcome to the Magic of Positive Thinking, a podcast hosted by Norb Savannasini, founder of AmericanEagle.com, and writer Al Edwards. Norb, it's a rainy summer day.
Yeah.
And I got stuck in the rain for a couple seconds, and I sat there, and it just felt good to be alive, just feeling the raindrops on my head.
Yeah. That's an interesting, raindrops keep falling in your head.
We should write a song like
that. Right. Yeah. No, it's a wonderful day. As usual, you have to thank the good Lord for, giving you this gift, this present that every day you have.
Absolutely.
And it's just an amazing thing that, you get one of these your whole life.
Right.
And I feel really sorry for people that can't understand that and enjoy it.
No doubt. And the funny part is that in the old spirit of the adage, physician, heal thyself. I have been helped by our own show because I've stopped in the parking lot on my way into the office and taken in what a beautiful day it is sometimes. Just like, God, look around you. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. One day you should stop eating.
I'm going to do that.
Yes.
Or excessively. I think the key is the excessive part.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Because if I don't eat at all, I won't be able to do this podcast. So, well, friends, we have hopefully a very interesting and exciting show for you today. Norb and I always kind of come up with these topics based on things that we just kind of think about in our own lives. And today's show is called Thank God It's 2025 and not 1925.
It's not 2020. You said 2025 or 1025?
No, I said 2025. I hope so.
Oh,
didn't I?
Okay. Good.
I'm asking our producer, Brian, to verify that. We'll have to check the tape. But thank God it's 2025 and not 1925. And it really has to do with being grateful. I really believe that this is the greatest time in human history to be alive for a variety of reasons. That's what I want to talk about.
Yeah. When you think about 1925, which is only 100 years ago, which is in history terms, it's nothing.
A drop in the ocean.
But Lindbergh had not flown to Europe.
Right.
He did it in 1927, actually. And the interesting part about it is that this has been an incredibly hot summer.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just amazing that if you look 100 years back, which had the same type of summers, you couldn't go home and enjoy air conditioning. And you couldn't go home and actually watch things on something called a television. And radio was just starting. And, refrigeration wasn't that common.
Right.
And, I just met a couple the other day, which were very interesting people. And they were foreign born, which is, they're very appreciative of the things that they have in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting is that, they were here for a few years, but one of them actually liked a special cream for their coffee that had to be flavored or something. And the other one had drinks that I didn't know that these things ever existed, but it was carbonated, like fruity tasting drinks.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm thinking to myself, it's interesting because, when you look at 1925, you were happy to get anything, I mean, and especially there wasn't that much ice. And when it was hot and really uncomfortable. And, even today when they say it feels like 107 or so, let me tell you, it felt the same way, 100 years ago.
Right.
And there was no air conditioning. So I don't care if it does feel like 120 when you go home or place to work or shopping, there's air conditioning. So.
Right. Absolutely. And that's a perfect segue because we're going to talk about some of these major areas of life. And let's start with that. And, One of the other ideas that we had for this is that whenever, we've all had friends who have gone through illnesses or sicknesses, and they're going through it. And you want to try and empathize with them and be supportive. And I always say, thank God it's 2025 and not 1925, because a lot of people would be in deep trouble medically. So let's talk about some of this stuff. So going back to the 1920s, life expectancy in the 1920s was much lower, about 56 for men and 58 for women. Many died from infectious diseases that are now preventable. Urban overcrowding and lack of sanitation were major problems. In 2025, life expectancy is decades longer due to advances in medicine, vaccinations, nutrition, and public health. Standard of living and general well-being have improved profoundly. So I'd already be dead by now if the average age was 56, because I'm north of that now, Norb.
No, and one of the things that people don't realize is that how basic things have extended life. Actually, refrigeration was one of the great leap forwards in life expectancy, because there were a tremendous amount of people that died from food poisoning
and botulism.
Yeah. And today, I don't know. I'm sure there are deaths from those problems, but they're rare.
Very rare.
But one thing you talk about medicine. Just last weekend, a very good friend of ours, and I know you know him, had a tremendous attack, and he didn't know what the heck was going on, and it was a gallbladder attack.
Yes, I heard about that.
And he was rushed to the hospital, and it was very, very a delicate operation, because there was a lot of infection there. And he survived, and I don't know if in 1925 that would have happened.
Right.
So, these are things that, again, we always talk about things to be thankful about. And again, quoting The Strangest Secret, familiarity breeds contempt.
Absolutely.
And we just ignore, and we talked about, turning the faucet and getting hot water. I think in 1925, that was a rare thing, So, we really have to be thankful for the stuff we have today.
Yeah, it's all about gratitude. And that's really the theme that we wanted to talk about in relation to all this stuff. So as you well know, I live in this little town called Sandwich, which I know Norb is about to say that's the perfect town for me to live in.
Right.
But I had to have my water turned off from the outside because the water main was leaking. And they were having trouble with it, the city. And I said, well, how old is the infrastructure of the water system in Sandwich? And he said, probably back to the 1930s or so. And that tells me, and I actually met a lady years ago that was 100 years old. She did not have running water in her house until 1945.
Oh, yeah. Well, telephones, until the 40s were not really that popular.
Right.
And when you watch old movies, you see that the people, would go to the corner store to make a phone call. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about technology and home life. It says, in the 1920s, home conveniences we now consider essential, like pasteurized milk, prepackaged foods, household appliances, were rare or just emerging. Cooking, laundry, and cleaning were labor intensive, and many urban homes still lacked indoor plumbing and electricity until later in the 1920s. Rural areas were generally without these conveniences even longer. Today, as we all know, most homes have modern appliances, central heating and air, indoor plumbing, and ready access to electricity. Daily chores are much less time-consuming due to the appliances and advances that have taken place.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this is, I know it sounds corny, but you have to be thankful about all this stuff. You really do, because just think about it. Going into a home and turning the water, and if it's hot, you just say, oh, okay, the hot water's running. And if it wouldn't be hot, you'd be complaining and, oh my God, oh
miserable.
my God. Yeah. So, these are things that, in the 10,000 years of human history, these things have only happened in the last relatively very, very few years. And we're enjoying this. And the sad part is that we do not appreciate it enough. We just take it for granted.
We have no perspective. We weren't alive in 1925, so we don't know what it was like.
Right.
Yeah. With regard to air conditioning, we've talked about Mr. Carrier and how grateful we are to him.
Sure.
Fun fact, he was actually working for a bookbinding publishing company, and he invented air conditioning to prevent the pages from books from sticking together by removing humidity in the pressing area. And someone figured out, if probably him, like, wait a minute, we could cool down our rooms too in the summer. These things washing machines and microwaves and air conditioning, they didn't fall out of the sky. Some human being got up one morning and figured out how to do this.
Yeah. And the thing about it, every one of these people guaranteed had a positive mental attitude that they were going to achieve this. And, going back to Thomas Edison, 3,000 failures. And this is one thing also that we have to keep repeating. Don't be afraid to fail. I mean, a failure is just part of life. And be grateful that you have the opportunities to try something and achieve it,
I'm sure the person that figured out the first washing machine got it right the very first time, right? Of course not. They probably failed a zillion times before they got it right.
Yeah.
What did you have there, Norb?
Well, I always like quotes, and I don't know if this has anything to do with the 1925, but this is a guy that actually lived in the 1800s, and a lot of people, of course, and especially with us, we heard about Mark Twain, and Mark Twain was just a phenomenal guy. But there was another American humorist that was very, very well known. And today, very few people know about him. Now, his name was Josh Billings. And
any relation to your wife's family?
No, actually, no. You know what's interesting? That was his pen name.
Oh, okay.
It's just like Mark Twain. That wasn't his name.
What was his pencil name, if that was his pen name?
Yeah, right. Well, he did have a pen with a feather.
Oh, he did? Okay, good.
But no, his real name was Henry Wheeler Shaw.
Oh, okay.
And he had quotes on life and experience and human nature that are really, really great quotes. This is one that I really like. Half of the troubles of this life can be traced to saying yes too quickly.
Wow.
And not saying no soon enough.
Wow.
And a lot of people get in trouble today because they feel intimidated.
They're afraid to say no.
They're afraid to say no. And because they're intimidated, a lot of times they say yes, and they want to be part of a group, and they really have a problem just being an individual, and the gift that we're given is the gift of uniqueness. We are unique. There's no one like you or me. Thank God nobody like you, but
one L is enough on this earth, I think.
This is another one he has that I really like. One of the rarest things that a man ever does is to do the best he can.
Wow.
Isn't that tremendous?
One of the rarest things?
One of the rarest things. And this is where, he realizes what the negative is just not to do what you should do. And it goes back, we say this almost every show, and if you get tired of it, that's too bad. But, I picked a couple of pieces of paper today, and I really feel good when I do it. You know
what? I did the same thing this weekend. I picked up a few pieces of paper and I thought of you and I thought of our show.
Good. Okay. Here's another one he's got. And of course, these are, this guy's over 100 years old, 150 years old. He said this. The best medicine I know for rheumatism is to thank the Lord that it ain't gout. And that's another thing about being positive. Yeah, I got this problem, but thank God I don't have this problem.
Right.
I had a very good friend of mine who just lost his house in Malibu.
Wow, yeah.
And he was telling me like a couple of years ago that the price of the insurance for his home, fire insurance, because they always knew there was a fire potential,
yeah,
was $75,000 a year. And he thought about moving just to save that. Okay, luckily, he was well-to-do, and I guess but his house burned down to the ground.
And what is the house worth?
I don't know. I never asked the gentleman, but it was in Malibu. It was oceanfront property.
4 or 5 million, maybe?
Oh, minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
Minimum, yeah. So that's a tragedy,
Absolutely. But on the other hand, it's not even that bad of a deal if you have to pay $75,000 to protect 5 million. Right?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of money for insurance.
Oh, yeah. Well, but obviously, just think if you're an insurance company, and we both have a background in insurance, I wouldn't want to insure a property like that.
That's why so many big insurers like State Farm and others have gotten out of those areas.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, also, the state was telling them how much to charge.
Right, exactly.
So, they would have insured it if they could have gotten the price that they felt was needed to have it. So,
yeah.
Okay, the other one, this is a good one that I like. If you ever find happiness by hunting for it, you will find it. Just as the old woman did when she lost her spectacles. It was always on her own nose all the time.
I love that.
Yeah. And basically, what he was talking about is you can find happiness if you just look for it. And it's probably much closer than what you think it is. Here's a good one. Money will buy a pretty good dog, but it won't buy the wag of the tail.
Wow, I love that.
Isn't that pretty?
That is beautiful.
I got 2 more.
Go for it. Go for it.
Genius ain't anything more than elegant common sense.
Wow. I've never heard that one before.
But this is the most important one. Life consists not only in holding good cards, but in playing those you hold.
At the right time.
Yeah. No, he didn't say at the right time, but just playing those.
But I mean, playing the cards at the right time.
Because, it's kind of funny because I always had the theory, and I never read this. I'll take credit for it. But we have to look at our lives as we get a deck of cards when we're born. 2 or 3 cards are missing. You just better learn how to play with the rest of the deck.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are jokers too.
Well, those are the ones that come through all the time. Yeah.
Well, okay. I think those are beautiful. Thank you. I think those summed up gratitude and appreciation so well. It's funny. We were talking about lifespan. I read this one time, and hate to be cynical, but really it's true. When Social Security, and actually the facts I just spoke about bears me out. When Social Security was created in 1936, the age to collect your pension was 65.
Right.
And the average lifespan was 60.
Well, I read that it was 62, but irregardless, yeah. And this is an interesting fact, too, is that where politics comes into being, no politician is going to say, I want to extend the retirement age because people live longer. But, let's face it, the working force back then had to work a lot harder. There were jobs that really, really took a toll on your body, especially in men. Women would have to work in sweatshops, or even if they if they were in their house, they had to wash clothes. They had to iron prepare food. There were very few restaurants. Very few people went to restaurants.
And small children. As a matter of fact, that's the perfect segue because I want to talk about work and economy next. But children, 8, 9, 10-year-old children were working in factories and getting their arms cut off in machines and things of that nature.
Oh, yeah. No, it was incredibly dangerous compared to what it is today. But again, we take it for granted.
Right.
And we don't think, 100 years ago, this happened. And I think, if this show brings anything to anybody is to realize how good life is today and appreciate it.
And how we need to appreciate it. Well, listen to this. This is really interesting. In the 1920s, and of course, any opportunity we have to bring up Henry Ford, we will in a moment here, but in the 1920s, American workers typically endured long hours, 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Child labor was still widespread and workplace safety regulations were minimal, leading to hazardous conditions. The 40-hour work week didn't become law until the late 1930s. And if I'm not mistaken, Henry Ford had a lot to do with that. Tell us that story. He invented the 40-hour work week, didn't he?
Yeah, he did actually. And it was, the reason was not only because he thought 40 hours was enough, but because he was a person who, had this thought, which was revolutionary, that every person who made their product should be able to buy it.
Right.
So there was such a demand for that product, which is the Model T, that he had to run the factory continuously. So he figured out that by dividing the day into 8 hours, if you multiply 8 by 3, you get 24. I hope that all audience, knows how to do that.
Wait, let me take off my shoes real quick here. I'll verify that.
5 days you had, 40 hours. And this way he could have 3 shifts and they worked 24 hours a day. So he also realized that by working less hours, that person was more productive. So it's all a matter of, it's just like if you have a horse. I never had one, so but if you work it to death, he's going to live a lot less than if you work it for a couple of hours a day or 3 hours and then let him rest.
Right.
People are the same. So yeah, this was an incredible breakthrough. And then of course, it was convenient for everybody, especially the politicians, to grab that idea and say you shouldn't work more than 8 hours. And then that's when, people used to work on Saturdays a lot, and then they started with time and a half, and which I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but this is why it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
No, there's no doubt, and I love the philosophy of the 24 hours, 8 hours to work, 8 hours to sleep, and 8 hours for leisure.
Yeah, or enjoying your family.
And
right.
Yeah. Now, that is, of course, a lot easier said than done because life is complicated. But I kind of love that concept of that.
Yeah, and also the 40-hour week, which gave you the weekends.
Right.
Which, before that hardly existed. I mean, Saturday was pretty much of a work day also.
Right.
Of course, Sunday was always reserved, for prayer and stuff.
Right,
but,
church. And
yeah.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Henry Ford did pioneer the idea that he wanted his workers to be able to enjoy the car that they make and go out into the country on Sunday and have picnics and all that kind of stuff. I'm excited to announce that next year, my Model T will be 100 years old.
Wow.
So that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I think that's neat.
And for you people that can't figure it out, that was a 1926 Model T.
One time I was at a gas station. People talk to me all the time, and I love talking to them because I really want them to have a good experience and enjoy the car and everything. And one time someone said, "What year is that?" I said, "Oh, it's a 26." And he was confused because it was 2024. He said, "How can it be a 26?" I said, "No, 1926."
Right. Yeah.
So Let's talk about something that's important to you, Norb, and that is entertainment and things of that nature. For fun, families in the 20s gathered around the radio, the cutting edge home entertainment technology of the time. Movie theaters were common, and dances like the Charleston captured the public's imagination. Socializing often happened in person or around community centers. Prohibition of alcohol led to speakeasies and the thriving underground. In contrast, today's entertainment options are literally unlimited. Streaming TV and video, social media, every kind of entertainment you can think of. Plus, people stay in touch via text, instant messaging, social platforms, working from home, communicating virtually any way they want to today. The idea of leisure and entertainment today has never been greater in human history.
Yeah, and in a way, this sounds kind of crazy, but in a way, it's sad that because of all this saturation in entertainment, I think humanity today doesn't appreciate it. And I love old movies, and if you have Turner Classics, which I really like, and you watch movies like from the 1960s and older, it's just amazing how different it was. I mean, we're talking about 100 years. I'm talking about 50, 60 years. It's just amazing. Like, when the detective has to follow the bad guy, he has to stop at a service station and make a phone call.
Put a dime, throw a dime in the machine.
Yeah. And and of course the cars are not like they are today. The highways are nothing like they are today. And it's really, really fascinating what has been achieved by humanity. And it's by the same token, the pendulum swings both ways.
Right.
How sad it is that people don't appreciate.
Absolutely.
Because if you appreciate things, and I know this sounds cornball as all get out, and I'm a pretty cornball guy to begin with.
We specialize in cornball on this show.
I specialize it. But if you really just look at just about everything and appreciate it, your life becomes a lot better. Just, oh my God, I got water here, and I have air conditioning, and I walk to my car, and it's a comfortable car, and I don't have to worry about the things I had to worry even 30, 40 years ago in a car.
Right. And we don't have to worry this building's going to fall down because people who knew how to build it, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah, right. And there were standards in building and things like that. No, I mean, it's really interesting. But, we have a few minutes, and I do want to say one thing. I don't think I've ever talked about this, but I have a favorite, I guess it's a poem, and it's The If by Kipling. And, he wrote this for his son's 16th birthday in 1895.
Wow.
Okay, which is before 1925.
Right.
And I just want to read the first part of it, which is, it's incredible, and it applies to life, to everybody. And it says, if you can keep your head up when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself well when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make your dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, basically that's the beginning of this. And if you haven't read The If, and Al knows this, I have this on my desk. I have it on the wall.
You had it hanging in the basement at the house, I remember.
I have it in wherever I go. I have a couple of places that I have, and the if is always there. And I got to tell you, if you can read this and really, really get it, I guarantee you that you'll be a much, much better person. And you will be happier, because this really includes how to be happy. And, he wrote this for his son, which this is a really, really famous man, wrote an incredible amount of great stories. So it applies to girls too, by the way.
Of course.
If it would have had a girl, because the end is, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Right. If you can do all these things, you'll be a man, my son.
Same tribute. So I recommend, if you haven't read it, read it. It's really a phenomenal thing.
It's beautiful. Well, friends, I guess what we're trying to say in the show today, and we say it for ourselves too, let's all take a moment from the craziness of life and be grateful. This show really has been about gratitude, whether we're talking about air conditioning or indoor plumbing or dishwashers. Let's take a moment and just be grateful for the time we live in, because there are billions of people that have lived before us who never, ever got to see any of this stuff. And that old expression that we've talked about from Earl Nightingale, familiarity breeds contempt, we're all victims of that. The minute we become accustomed to something, we get contemptuous of it. And we all need to fight that, because we need to keep our eyes open and go, wow, about life. So, Norb, I thank you for this wonderful opportunity to talk about all these things.
No, thanks, Al. I appreciate this. I hope people enjoy this show, because, the show is the magic of positive thinking. But the magic of positive thinking is just appreciate what you got. That's the magic.
It's as simple as that.
It's just that simple. And,
be grateful.
And it's just like Josh Billings says, if you have rheumatism, just be happy it's not gout.
Right.
It's another way to be positive,
That's our homework until our next show, everyone. Be grateful. Consciously think about being grateful for everything you have in life, not just material things, but your family and your loved ones and your health and your eyes and all that other kind of stuff. So, Norb, thank you, my friend.
I thank you. God bless everything. And pick up that little piece of paper.
That's right.
Feel
Make
good.
The world a better
You'll
place.
actually feel good. Trust me.
For Norb Savannasini, this is Al Edwards, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
God bless. Bye.